Tom Meyer, the Bellevue Community School District Superintendent, just touching base with you on a few things for this week's update. Final day of the first semester, and before the winter break is actually Friday, December 19th. We will have a regular dismissal that day. Teachers actually return to school on January 2nd, and students return to school on January 5th. That is a Monday. So student involvement notes that way. We had excellent concerts here for the elementary, preschool, middle school, and high school. The last one wrapped up last night, and it topped it all off. All the concerts were outstanding, great participation by everyone. In the high school concert last night, something interesting for people to recognize, over 1/3 of our high school students were involved in either the band or choir part of it, and several of them in both. So it's an outstanding concert. I think when I did statistics on that, it's about 38% of our students were involved last night, and that's great. And it goes to show you also, we had many students who were involved in basketball or bowling or archery or cheerleading or dance or whatever other activities going on at this time. They're also involved in that way. So looking at problem-based learning, trying to develop skills for students that way. We'll be integrating more of that into the second semester. And really what that does, it talks about having students develop into critical thinkers, problem solvers, and we're trying to get them to prepare for their life after school, become employable, strong communicators with strong characters, self-motivated, flexible, and ultimately lifelong learners that way. We have some training for this for all staff coming up on January 2nd, continuing that throughout the year, and many teachers are already implementing that, and we'll be doing more of that in the upcoming future here. School calendar, one thing that some of you have probably been hearing on the news, the state of Iowa came out, actually Department of Ed, actually through the governor, came out with a statement saying that schools cannot start until the week when September 1st falls. And well, this upcoming year, that would actually be on August 31st. So if we start on August 31st, we will have a dismissal of roughly, depending on how schedules worked out, June 3rd, maybe June 6th, somewhere in that area, and that's without snow days, obviously, as well. That could be changed in the future as well. In the past, there have been waiver systems for that, and Bellevue, along with every other school district in the state of Iowa, except for two, have always applied for the waiver. We had talked before this came out amongst some other schools in the area that we were looking at starting probably August 17th or August 20th or August 24th. This pushed it back at least a week from what we were talking about. And there are various things. I've talked to various people in the community about this, and please feel free to contact me by phone, in person, email, whatever the case is, and let me know your thoughts on this. I'll probably be putting something on Facebook about that as well. It does start early. And there are some reasons for that way, justified, unjustified, probably depending on who you are and how it impacts you. If you're an elementary, if you're a student with elementary students, if you're a parent with elementary students, you may think, you know what, why do we start so early? If you're a high school parent, you may recognize some of the reasons we do. Athletic practices set up by a different board at the state of Iowa, the Iowa High School Athletic Association, and the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. They set up a date where actually this upcoming year practices start on August 10th. First football game is August 20, is roughly going to be on August 28th. First volleyball game is scheduled for August 25th already. First cross country meet is approximately on August 27th. The Iowa State Fair this year is a little later, actually about a week later. It runs from August 13th to 23rd, which is one reason schools in this area had talked about delaying the start a little bit from what was originally planned. So practices start up. A lot of kids are here. We have roughly 50 kids. We have roughly about 120 high school students involved in some way in the fall practices. College classes start before August 31st. They typically start around August 24th, which is a Monday. So that will be something with online class, and students would still have to be enrolled in, get their information for, and start out before school would actually start, which we believe that's important for our students as they prepare for college to get that going that way. And sometimes people talk about how important it is to finish the semester before the holiday break. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. My thing is, if you've learned it, and I've said this before on this, if you've learned it, you know it no matter when someone asks. It's not about memorizing answers and giving off information. It's about applying that information. And we should be able to do that as students, as adults, well beyond some time of a test that way. So some things to think about that way. I'd be interested in any comments you have. But speaking with members of the community, you know, a lot of them are saying it starts too early. I don't know why we need to start early. At the same time, I hear some people say, well, practices are starting. Why doesn't school just start right away? Another comment out there is, why do we use the traditional schedule for classes? Why don't we go year round? I'm not advocating for that, but that is some discussion. Same amount of days would be held in a year-round school format in most cases that way. We just have longer breaks during the year. So that's not something to happen next year or even maybe in the near future, but it is something that is being talked about more and more across the state of Iowa and across the nation as well. So just want to tell you a little bit about the concert that went on as well. You know, Mr. Davies, Mrs. Ruley, and Mr. Rowling, our art teacher, they actually had a band. They formed a little three-person band. They're called Ninth Block, and they performed 3 songs last night, which was very enjoyable. Really got the community and the crowd wound up about that as well. We are putting some TV. If you've been out to high school, you know some TVs that are put up in our commons, some big screen. They're smart TVs that was used actually out of student council funds from the reunion on the river, not last summer but the summer before. Some leftover funds from that they wanted to do. Attendance center rankings are going to be coming out in January. These attendance center rankings ultimately are going to measure school buildings on their proficiency on the Iowa assessments, their growth on the Iowa assessments, and then narrowing the achievement gap for subgroups that way. So something to recognize for that way that will be coming out. It'll be a scale of 6 to 1 or 1 to 6, with 6 being the best. It will basically put every school in a certain category that way. Excellent, superior, on down the line that way. So something to be aware of that way. Iowa assessments, I've mentioned before in times, they measure some certain things. But they don't measure a lot of the 21st century skills and those life skills that students need as they move on. And we need to be rethinking learning. Learning is not just from 8 o'clock to 3:30 or whatever time the school goes for your child, but it goes 24/7. Learning is a never-ending thing anymore with students of nearly all ages, with access to internet, access to all kinds of information at a click of a thumb or a scroll of a finger on a phone or a computer, whatever the case is. So learning is something that is definitely progressing in. We really need to be looking at student-driven learning. What are students interested in? How can we get them engaged in their learning? And going from there, and paying more attention to individuals and designing our curriculum and our assessments according to their needs and what we're doing that way. Hope everyone has a great holiday. I will possibly not be on with an update next week, but I will be back the following week. So just so you know that. But please pay attention to Facebook. There'll be some other information on there as well. And just want to tell everybody happy holidays and have a great day.